Hey, what's up, y'all? It's N Squared Sports back. Today we are doing the AFC East and we're breaking it down team by team. So let's start with the New England Patriots. So last year they went 11-5 and they won the Super Bowl. So they're Super Bowl probably favorites maybe again this year. I, however, have their floor at 8-8. Their ceiling at 13-3. I think they take a step back this year. That's still really good. That's probably going to win the division just because their division is really bad. This year I think it's going to improve a little, but still I think they have enough to win the division again. So Nick, what do you have for their floor and ceiling?
I just have their floor is 8-8. I mean, when you look at the talent on the team, it's really, you just got to believe. You're a believer in Belichick and Brady.
Yeah.
If you say anything really higher, to be honest. I had the ceiling as 14-2. They had Belichick and Brady. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, like last year, we all thought they were done. There's no way they're not doing it, and they did it again. So
exactly,
you never know.
It's really hard to predict this team, to be honest, because quite frankly, last year we saw some signs of weakness whenever we had Detroit pretty much blow them out, and we had the Titans a couple weeks later blow them out, and they were struggling in away games to actually win. So players to watch. I first want to mention Tom Brady. He just got a 2-year extension. No one really knows the exact details, but he got a 2 years extension. So, my goodness, when will this end? Other players to watch is Benjamin Watson. He is out for about, I think, 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. And really, I'm not trusting their tight end core, and Brady uses the tight ends a lot.
Yeah.
Then they have Isaiah Wynn, who they drafted last year. Hoping that he can replace their lost offensive tackle, Nate Solder from the Raiders. I think these are 2 players to really determine how their season will go. We're gonna see a lot about this team, and we're gonna learn a lot about their future this year.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of their future, I have players to watch. Sony Michel, their running back, he had some pretty good games last year. If he can be really productive, Tom Brady will not have to throw as much, I think, if he can be really, really productive, because it seems like the Patriots just always get a bunch of running backs and just have them play. They don't really ever have a star running back, so Sonny Michel looks like he could be a star running back. We just have to wait and see. My other guy, he's kind of a sleeper on this team, is J.C. Jackson. He's a cornerback who was drafted last year. And he had a really pretty good season last year, honestly. He struggled in the playoffs last year, but he still had a good season, and I think he's up and coming. I think he's really good, and I think he's a guy that at the end of the season, you're going to be like, yep, you were right, Nick, and that he's good. I think he's going to be a difference maker for this team.
And then they already have Stephon Gilmore, who's probably a top 5 corner in the NFL right now. And Sonny Michel had probably one of the best postseasons for a running back, statistically speaking, that we've seen in a long while. So both really good players are going to be really good next year.
Yeah.
So some of the biggest games that we want to watch is Week 1 versus the Steelers. Always an intense game. These teams are probably going to be fighting for seeding and at the end of the season. So it's crazy to think Week 1 has an impact. But I really want to pinpoint this game here more so than the other games that I'm going to briefly mention, is because they won't have Julian Edelman and they won't have Benjamin Watson. It's 2 of Brady's biggest targets, and he's going to be lacking targets, and he's going to have his running backs, but still, you're going to want to watch how Brady plays. And quite frankly, I think they could lose this game, and that's going to be big. Yeah. And another quick game is Houston Texans at Houston, Week 13, Sunday Night Football. That's just a big game because it's going to be deciding seeding. It's also a primetime game, and quite frankly, I think this is probably one of the more challenging primetime games that they actually have this year.
Yeah, I have both of those games. I think those are both huge. And I also have Week 14. After Week 13 at the Texans, they get to go back home, but they go to the Chiefs.
I believe it's a Sunday Night Football game too as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They go back home to face the Chiefs. And so those could be really tough back-to-back games. They could be, these 3 games that we're mentioning, they could lose all of those, possibly. So I think that's a tough game, Week 14 versus the Chiefs. So, anything else? Okay, so let's go to the Miami Dolphins, who were second in the division last year. They went 7-9. That is surprising. They did not make the playoffs. I think their floor this year is 6-10, and their ceiling is 8-8. I think they're going to be very kind of where they were last year, honestly. they're just kind of, their roster is just not that great in a lot of areas to me. I just don't really love their players a ton. So I'll just let you go.
So I have their floor as a whopping 1-15,
Wow.
and their ceiling as a 5-11.
Wow.
I am not high on them. I don't really believe in the talent. I don't believe in the head coach. Yes, we got Fitzmagic on the team. Man, we got Josh Rosen. Other than that, they got Laramie Tunsil on the offensive line, who's one of the better offensive tackles, and on the defense, they got Minkoff Fitzpatrick. I have a hard time really believing on this team that they have talent anywhere else. Yeah, their wide receiver core is just, I mean, it has, I guess, Albert Wilson and Devontae Parker. I don't think that's enough to do anything or mean anything, to be honest. Players to watch is Kenyon Drake. I want to see him step up. I want to see him be an elite running back. Not necessarily elite, but I want to see him produce defensively. I just want to see this team. I really just want to see where this team goes if Josh Rosen can improve. I'm not expecting much. This is going to be a team fighting for that number 1 seed. They don't really have much talent. They're probably the worst team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, so I think you meant number 1 pick.
Yeah, number 1 pick.
Yeah,
number 1 pick.
So I think actually I don't know that you changed my mind, but I think looking at it, I think I'm a little too high, honestly. I think I need to go down a little bit. So, I'm going to say maybe their ceiling might be 6 and 10 instead of their 4. But anyway, I put that, so I'll just stick with it for now. Anyway, so let's go to the players to watch. I have their draft pick, Christian Wilkins. He's an interesting guy on the defensive line. And then I have Devontae Parker if he can step up and be a number 1 receiver. So let's go into some important games. I'll let you go first.
I mean, to be honest, just division games, they can win it. I don't.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying any game is really that important.
I know. It's hard with bad teams to try to make important games.
I'm just gonna honestly. I want to see Josh Rosen improve and see if he's actually worth anything. If not, they're gonna be tanking for Tua or Herbert or whatever quarterback is driving next year.
So I'll just go really quick. I'll just do week 3 at the Cowboys. It's an early season test. Not that the Cowboys are super, super good. I think they'll be okay. But that's just kind of an interesting game for them. It might not be that important, but I have that as an important game. And then week 8 at the Steelers, basically every time you could say if they play the Steelers, it's an important game. And then week 17 at the Patriots, they beat the Patriots last year in a game. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills, which I think we're pretty interested in both in the Buffalo Bills for different reasons. But so they went 6 and 10 last year. They did not make the playoffs. My 4 for them this year is 6 and 10, and my ceiling is 9 and 7. I think they'll be close to the second team in the division behind the Patriots. They possibly could get above the Patriots depending on things, but I don't know for sure. So
probably won't happen just because it's the Patriots.
Yeah.
But I got the Bills floor as 6 and 10, ceiling is 11 and 5. I'm sort of a Bills fan, to be honest. I like this team. Players to watch is Josh Allen. I think he improves. Some people really don't like him and say he's a bad passer. In my opinion, he's really only the second best runner in the league behind Lamar Jackson. He's a quarterback. He's really good and talented at that. And that brings me to the next point: is players to watch is Shady McCoy and Devin Singletary, who are both running backs. That I want to see how they play and if they can give Josh Allen a run game. Because this team has a defense. They had a top-end defense last year. They showed up at games. They made it hard for games. They shut down the Vikings.
Yeah.
If this team has a decent offense and Josh Allen has weapons, this team could be one of those teams that you just don't want to face, but they aren't going to get anywhere. If you sort of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I have the same thing with Josh Allen. If he can step up, then who knows what can happen. They have the talent around him, I think, to make some noise. My other guy on the defensive side is Ed Oliver. He is probably one of my favorite players from this year's draft. He's just such a powerful force that I think he's going to be big on the defensive line, attacking running backs on other teams. So go in and tell me some important games that you have.
Some of the biggest games I have that I'm making the case more so that if they want to get to the playoffs, I honestly believe that they have a case for it. It's a very small chance, but these are some of the games. Is Week 4 versus the Patriots. If they can win this game, honestly, this can be a turning point because then they're going to start believing and they're going to start, okay, we got this. The Bills have an easy schedule. The whole AFC East is a really easy schedule.
Yeah.
And I think the Bills have a lot of games that they can win, especially with that defense and Josh Allen showing up in games. The Browns, Week 10 is another massive game because, honestly, I have them winning. I think they can go into Cleveland and beat them. And I think if they beat them, and Week 10, where they're still fighting for their playoffs, ooh, that's a good boost of confidence.
Hey, and if those two things happen, then they don't have a super tough schedule, but they have a tough ending. Because if you've seen, they play in Week 15 at Pittsburgh and then Week 16 at New England. So those are two very tough games in a row that could go either way. If they're playing like they could make the playoffs, then they'll be motivated, I think. And those two games are really important to me for them. And I think they could win. They could win both of them. They could. It's possible. So let's go to the New York Jets. They were 4-12 last year. They did not make the playoffs. I'm a little higher on them this year. I'm still not super high. I'm higher than they were last year for sure. My floor is 7-9. My ceiling is 10-6. They got Le'Veon Bell. He's a lot of the reasons. I think Le'Veon Bell could win 1, 2, or 3 games by himself. Honestly, with Sam Darnold behind him, improving a little bit. So what did you talk about?
So my floor for them is 6-10. Ceiling is 10-6. 10-6 seems to be my magical number today.
Yeah.
But I like this team. Sam Darnold actually played really well at post-injury from last season. I think this team could take a step up. They got offensive weapons, and this leads me into my players to watch. Is Le'Veon Bell? How does he come back from that season-long, whatever you want to call it, vacation? And Jamison Crowder is someone they signed from the wide receiver core, along with Robbie Anderson. Let's see how, if he can get involved, and see if Sam Darnold will use him. And maybe this team could take a step up on the offensive side of the ball. They got good defensive players, which leads me to our point about Tremaine Johnson. They signed him to be an elite corner, which he was in that elite category a couple of years ago. Can he play to that level? Because if he can, they can compete with the division.
They could. You're right. I think, just like the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to name a quarterback and a defensive tackle. So I have Sam Darnold if he can elevate. And I think Le'Veon Bell will help him elevate just by being there. I think he'll carry a lot of the load. Sam Darnold just needs to be better, a little bit better than he was last year. And I think Le'Veon Bell will help. If Le'Veon Bell comes back, which I'm a huge believer in him, I think he will come back stronger. He seems motivated. So I have Sam Darnold. So my next guy is Quinnen Williams, their draft pick. He's a beast. He's a big guy. He's a big guy. And on the defensive line, stopping kind of just like Ed Oliver, if he can be a force. And I think right out of the gate, he'll be a force against opposing running backs and offenses. So what are some important games you have?
Some important games I have are versus the Patriots, Week 7 on Monday Night Football. I think it's just a big game. It's against the Patriots. If you can upset the Patriots at least one game, your season automatically looks better because you're sort of projecting that to be a loss. I think if they beat the Patriots on Monday Night Football at home, which is potentially possible, and you can expose the Patriots, I think that's possible. Versus the Steelers Week 16, if they for some reason happen to be in the playoff race, this is a good game. Plus Le'Veon Bell against the Steelers. That's going to be fun to watch.
I didn't think about that, yeah.
That's really all I got to say.
And I have Week 5, an early game against the Eagles. That's going to be an early test for them. I think if they could win that game, that'll boost their confidence and maybe propel them to a win at the Patriots. Who knows? It could happen. And then I have Week 15 at the Ravens as well. Like you said, if they are in that playoff hunt, playing the Ravens and the Steelers back to back, those are some important games for them to try to capitalize on. So anything else on the AFC East?
That's all I got on the AFC East.
Okay.
It's going to be a fun division to watch.
Stay tuned for NFC. We were done with the AFC now. So stay tuned for those NFC breakdowns of the divisions, and we'll see you guys next time.